You having fun?
I got to turn it on.
Learning a lot? Awesome. That light is going to kill me. My name is Marcie Jastrow. I am a consultant and advisor for metaverses and Web 3.0. I've been in and around the entertainment industry for about 25 years, focused mainly on visual effects and post-production. That's how I got into immersive, through that area. Thought we would talk about the creator economy today. So I'm going to have everyone up here introduce themselves and tell me what part of the ecosystem you work within the creator economy.
Good afternoon. My name is Lisa Watts. I am CEO and founder of a company called 121 Immersive. Spent the last 30 years really in high tech, starting out at Intel, and then also as a consultant, and just recently did a little rotation at Magic Leap, and very much focused on unlocking the ecosystem around creators and leveraging all the tools and technology from wearables all the way to software and services.
Awesome.
Nice. Hi, I'm Elizabeth Barron. I am at Unity Technologies, and I'm sorry, I'm very distracted.
I know, I feel like I'm in a nightclub.
I know,
with the music
and I have like a Madonna mic on, and I'm trying to not. Anyway, I'm sorry. So I am working in film, and my role is to look at the 3D pipeline for immersive and amp it up big time so that it can support super high visual fidelity for creators, make it really easy, and democratize the dissemination of the tech. So I'm excited about the new role. Before that, I was working in the digital twin space, and prior to that, I had worked at Ford Motor Company doing immersive product development and leading that effort for the company globally.
Awesome.
Hello, everybody. I'm Maxim Jago, and I've been pretending I know what I'm talking about since the mid-'80s, and sometimes people believe me. I share my time between consulting on strategy for a very broad range of organizations. Very often it's media technology. If anyone's familiar with Adobe Premiere Pro, I write the official book on it, the official book on Audition, a couple of thousand tutorials on post-production. Most of you won't know what I look like, but if I say, now let's put some clips on the timeline and open them up, you're all thinking, he was in my head. So, hello, you're welcome. I write books, I speak at conferences, and I founded the Creativity Conference, which is a conference exploring the essence of creativity in all of its forms. Most of my work is on exploring the relationship between people and technology in one form or another, and working with organizations that are helping people work with technology.
Awesome.
Hi, I'm Ashley Crowder. I'm the co-founder and CEO of VNTANA. We're a 3D infrastructure platform, so we make it easy to view, manage, and optimize and deploy your 3D assets everywhere they need to go. I've worked in the 3D AR VR space for over a decade and was sick of getting these huge CAD files from clients that took days to optimize, so we wrote algorithms to automate it.
Hello, what's up, everybody? My name is Jalen James Acosta. I am a Latin pioneer, so if you're Dominican, Cuban, or Puerto Rican, you probably have heard my music. I am a creator, a filmmaker, have a content-making machine, a company called World Artists United. We do the branding, marketing, and creative consulting for probably a lot of the people that you know and listen to or watching films. So we do a lot of consulting for a lot of those folks, including a lot of the Web3 innovation, right? The new, I guess, building the bridge is what we call it now, between Web 2 and Web 3, and really creating those experiences for the next generation of social media. And then I'm also the founder of Music Entrepreneur Conference. And listen, I'm all about exactly what we're here for. I'm the actual creator, and I'm here to find solutions with you guys about the creator economy. So if you're really about that and really about creating solutions and finding, ways of collaborating, I'm excited to do it. I'm also a GP at a venture fund, so if you have a great idea, we're excited to listen to it and invest into it.
So let's jump into that, since you just asked that question. What do you think the creator economy is missing? to help enable it to grow even further than it already has?
What I coined as trustparency. Trust and transparency, please. So let's start with that, right? I mean, the reality of it is that I've sold millions of records. I've done a lot of that. And I can honestly say that I made a lot of my money in my career in different ways, right? Because there was never any transparency as to what was going on in the actual record deal, in how to collect my money. There's such a cluster F as to how to get the money that you just lose it, right?
Yeah.
So the bottom line is that imagine that times 1,000, right? Meaning for the independent artists, which is everybody now, right? This is what we want. We want better tools. It's time for us to leverage technology instead of technology to continue to leverage us, right?
Right.
So, and lastly, our data. Why is it that we still don't own our own data, right? So this is what we're here for. We're here to have a seat at the table for the first time.
Awesome. That's great. So they say that if you do something you love, it's not work. And I really feel like that's the essence of the creator community and the economy. Because what I believe has happened is the pandemic sort of propelled it forward. People were home, they were able to do what they really wanted to do, not settled down by the job that they had that they hated every day, and the rise of TikTok and the rise of those influencers. How has the new creator economy influenced how you work and what you do every day for your work?
I think that's a really fascinating question because, to your point, there's many things that the pandemic did for us that I think really would never have happened.
Lisa was making masks during the pandemic. She became a mask maker.
Well, we had a good 6 months where you couldn't get a mask, right? It was so we decided, and this is that's a very good lead-in because what we did in that, so we didn't want to just do standard masks. We wanted to be able to do, custom masks, and there's now so many business services that are now available to creators that weren't available before. In our case, we actually ended up working with a company called Spoonflower, which they do printing on any kind of fabric. So anybody who would like to, have their own custom design for clothing or for your house, etc., all you have to do as a digital creator is actually create that design and you just send it to Spoonflower. Not only that, you can actually have people subscribe to your design, and actually you can now monetize your designs onto fabric using this company. So that's what we did. We actually made custom mask designs, and instead of printing like a full sheet, we printed out the exact size that we needed, and we cut them out, and we sewed them. But it really opened up my exposure to, I come from Intel and tech, right? This is all this tech is also enabling something like very touchable and very consumable, in the real world. And I think that was like a really important lesson that I learned kind of during that, and it really accelerated kind of the process where creators then now can leverage those sorts of services and really get anything that you want. And I think that's just an amazing time to live from a creator perspective.
Yep. So I think, Unity's like catchphrase is, the world is a better place with more creators in it. And I was thinking about that and thinking, the world's a better place when everyone can create in it. And I really think that's where we're going. And that's like what you mentioned about the pandemic. Mm-hmm. I think people had time and they did things that weren't work because they wanted to see, they just want to explore. People want to be creative. Even if they're technical, they're technically creative. So they were writing code, or they were, doing whatever made them happy for a little bit of time before they went to work. And, luckily for me, my work makes me happy, so that's good. But the way that manifests, I think, with thinking about Web3 and the democratization of the tech, I think is fantastic. So I'm very excited about the promise of what Web3 will open up so that you can realize your goal of having your content be your content, getting rid of the hosting site, and setting artists free.
Yeah.
And I think we've had a taste of it with music. Like there's been a taste, but it's not there yet. And I think Web3 and democratizing the tech will help us along that path. And I also think that putting that together with tools that allow us to leapfrog the current ways we do things. Because like the CAD data analogy is a really good one. It's horrible. It's just so horrible to get data in. It's horrible to do it in the film pipeline, I've found out.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought, oh,
We
it's
can
just
help, though.
engineering. But no, it's not.
No.
It's everything. It's very terrible.
Well, it's protectionism too.
Yes.
You have to remember that most of those facilities and companies don't want it to be easy because
Right.
they've created this concept that it's it's complicated.
Right, exactly. So, but simplifying it means democratizing it so that so many others can participate. And we've seen that in the past where when the technology becomes democratized, there are more creators and actually more people make money. So it's not a bad thing, it's just a shift away and maybe a movement from one place to another of the way money flows in and out. But I'm very excited about the future of the creator economy and the creator-verse.
Yeah, right. You've
do we
been in
need?
and out of it,
Right.
Maxim, so why don't you kind of give your
Well,
perspective?
I didn't mention I make films, right? So I'm a
Yeah, I know.
director, and you know, I think that it's a fundamental need for human beings to create, to be causal agents, to leave their footprints in the snow, right? But a little while ago, my niece and nephew visited, and they were quite messy. And I was trying to explain to them that there's no cleaning fairy in my apartment. And they were quite shocked. You know, they were, well, I have to take the bottle and put it in the trash. I have to do that. You know, yes. I think that when we are developing tools, services, technologies, products, it can be difficult to remember the fundamental purpose of that tool. And this is often the case with the tools that are created for creatives. So you'll have a color palette, but only the colors that the engineers thought you might want. Or it'll change the formatting in some way that makes it homogenized. It's coherent according to their idea of what style should be, and not yours.
Yeah.
And it could be quite difficult to create technologies that allow people to be fully free, while also holding them true to the technical standards that are required for them to deliver good quality content. Anyone who's made films will know the number one thing that catches you out is sound, right? Location sound is just a nightmare, it just always is.
Yep.
And so what I'm excited about, and what I think we're getting now, is this commoditization of these technologies that historically, to your point, Marcie, were they're just very expensive. They were just valuable. You wouldn't want to hand it to someone who didn't know what they were doing. They might drop it. So we're now getting technologies where we are able to, I mean, your phone has the kind of motion stabilization on it that you used to pay $100,000 for and a Steadicam. It's a bit scary.
Yeah.
And now we're moving towards AI fixing some of our issues. And a simple example of that is spell checker. We don't even notice it anymore. You write a post online, and the online platform is spell checking your work. This is amazing. So I think what I want is what's happening. I think what I want to see is the sort of things that you were speaking about, Jalen, and you know, access to these technologies and tools for distribution purposes is great. We have to be a little bit careful about the monetization process.
Correct.
Because the audience size is critical, and it's the critical mass you have to reach. But what I really want to see is these tools existing in the service of the human user, freeing creativity, not hemming it in. And I think right now we're about 50-50. One of my jobs is I'm a judge for the Tech Pitch program at South by Southwest to assess companies that can come in and pitch. And I've seen so many companies that say they're the first one ever. But right now we're seeing more and more of it, and I'm really optimistic.
Well, I just want to say before you guys go, it's super interesting because I'm in the middle of building this metaverse, and one of the things, it's a decentralized metaverse, And one of the things I wanted to do was bring in people that I used to work with who always felt stifled because they were hired by a studio to then go do the work, then never own the work. And so I was like, okay, we're gonna bring all these people who I really felt like were creative and they would be amazing at helping to come up with the design and the look of it. I have to tell you, that didn't happen. And so I think there is the difference between leaders that are creators and creators that want to essentially be sheep.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in a negative way. There's nothing wrong with that. But I always felt, especially because I was working pipelines and I was working with creators and creatives and studios, that everybody wanted to be the director or everybody wanted to make those decisions. And I have found that not everybody wants to do that. And it's really changes the dynamic of how you manage those workflows. So I just wanted to say that because I thought that was super interesting.
Yeah, and I think when the technology isn't what's in the way. Like,
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's when
Just don't be in the way.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Get out of the way, let me create, and then it happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
Flow.
At VNTANA, our mission is democratizing 3D for the world. We want to make it easy and interoperable everywhere. And we launched our platform February 2020, so right before COVID, which was good. And we were trying to figure out how can we help people. So we ended up giving a free version to freelance designers. Because we were talking to them, we're like, yeah, we design in Clo, we design in Browseware, Blender. If you don't know those programs, they couldn't even share their 3D designs. They were sending screenshots to people and their portfolios. So we gave it for free and people could share their portfolios, and then people got hired at Hugo Boss, and then Hugo Boss hired us. We're like, oh, this ended up working out. We were just trying to give something for free. But we were so happy to people couldn't even share their 3D art. And so the other thing I'm really excited about is everything the Kronos group is doing, pushing standards for 3D so that everyone can accept the standard, so we can have the JPEG of 3D as GLB. So you can take that asset and bring it into any virtual world or platform you want. But that's what I think is essential for at least everything that we're doing with metaverse and VR, XR, all the R's. But
Well, so who listens to music here? The whole world, right? That's our question is really, I do it just for fun, really. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter where you're from. Music is the language of the soul. It doesn't matter whether it's, you're walking through a hologram, you're gonna listen to music in 3 years. You'll be using the Magic Leap or the Apple Reality glasses, and you're gonna experience music in a whole different way. Whether it's, in an elevator or in that feature film that, that your kid created, Music is essential, right, to us as humans. Yet for 100 years, the music industry has continued to take advantage of musicians. So what I'm saying by that is global economy is going to change now more than ever, right? And the global creator economy is evolving into a new era in which, because music is so necessary, we're going to be able to utilize music in ways that you guys are not even thinking about. So I came up with a way where you can actually track where your song is playing and trending right now in real time on a heat map. So this is going to change the way that we audit musicians. Oh yeah, this is first time I'm announcing this. And this is going to be...
Oh, we got so lucky.
Yeah.
Say it again. That's a big announcement.
No, it's gonna evolve. You guys are gonna hear more about it eventually. But the point is that it is essential and important for us to understand the interaction that music has in every single one of the things that you guys all do, and it's important that all of us together come, and really support the companies that are creating new innovation for the music industry. NFTs are in diapers. That technology is shit. It's not what we need right now. It's great for the smart contracts. Oh, how cute. No, that's not everything, okay? We need a lot more than that because we need things to be tracked and we need to understand where our IP is. So on that this is why I'm excited about the global creator economy. And yes, I'm involved in film, I'm involved in a bunch of other stuff, but I think that that's a foundational piece that we should all pay attention to.
May I just throw in as well, just to follow on from that, I think an absolutely critical component of the tools that we're getting is to do with collaboration. It's participation, it's unity, it's engagement. Nothing ever gets created that isn't the product of a collaboration. Yeah. If anyone says, oh no, I work completely alone, I'm always wondering, how did you make that chair that you're sitting on? That's very impressive. And you generated the electricity driving your machine. It's amazing.
Love that.
How did you do that? Everything we do is a collaboration. Everything we do is a partnership. And the tools that allow us to cooperate more easily, with more fluidity, across borders, remotely or in person. These tools are really important. Smart contracts, cryptocurrencies, tokenized payments. I'm waiting on the right sovereign identity project. But as we're seeing these tools coming live, it just expands and expands these networks, these connections that we have that allow us to do things like celebrate diversity, right? Instead of seeing diversity as a problem, it's something to celebrate, to see different approaches to things,
right,
and to work with the data that comes out of that in ways that are constructive. We need the tools to do that. And they're getting better and better, but I still don't think they're there yet.
No. And also the investing. I think that, for example, I have to go to the Middle East, I have to go to Asia, I have to go to different places because in my own country, less than 1% of the money invested in venture funds invest in people that look like me.
Yeah.
So that's, I think.
Same with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With women.
They don't invest
Less
enough
than
either.
2%, exactly. So I think that's also something to think about. So in a room like this, I can literally tell you, we can change the global creator economy, just literally just the people that are in this room. But we never come together and actually get together and do it, So, but I think that it is doable.
So I was watching the news the other day, and they were talking about TikTok, and they were talking about the influencers that were coming on TikTok and how in China, what the feeds that were coming into the children of TikTok were different than the feeds that were coming into the U.S. I don't know if you heard the same thing. And so what they were saying, which scares the shit out of me, is that the U.S. feeds are all based off of influencers and crypto bros and driving a Lamborghini, and that's what our children are seeing. And what the China government is feeding is science, education,
Museum
NASA, or the moon.
Yep.
And so when two children were asked, one U.S., one Chinese, what do you want to be when you grow up? The U.S. kid said, I want to be an influencer, and the Chinese kid said, I want to be a doctor. What do you think it'll look like 10 years with this rise of this influencer scenario for our children who now believe that being an influencer, meaning an influencer that isn't necessarily doing it for good, only for money, versus an influencer who might be a doctor, who might be a musician. So how do we change the dynamics so our children, all the children, are seeing good content that makes them want to do more than stand in front of a camera? Not that it's a bad thing, but that scares me a little bit.
Well, I think the flip side of that is we're all influencers. I mean, if people apply for a job at VNTANA, I'm looking up their LinkedIn, and I'm looking up their Facebook and checking that they're similar, or if there's not weird stuff, right? The flip side of that is I think you can learn great skills, and creating video content and going viral is an amazing skill. And whether you are a scientist or a teacher, but being able to have that skill set is important. And that digital identity is real, and people are now having multiple. I don't know if you saw that study. Gen Z now has like their fake Instagram accounts that they like different content. So I have my Instagram account where I'm looking at only fashion, but it's like, and I have my other account where it's my friends, and I'm keeping them separate. So I think we are gonna see these multiple digital identities, and I think at the end of the day, it should all be open. So I don't want any government controlling what I can and can't see on any of these platforms.
Well,
Yeah.
Well, and I think my daughter is 19, and she has 2 accounts. She's an equestrian.
Yep.
She has one for when her professional, identity as an equestrian, and she has one that's family and friends, right? So I think that savvy is something that we don't give our kids as much credit for as we potentially should. We kind of seek, to your point, some of the negative potential influences of social media, but I think Gen Z is a whole lot smarter than we give them credit for.
Well, I think they're hiding. Yeah. Like for me, I know my 3 kids all have fake ones.
Yeah.
And it's because they don't want me to see what they're posting. I know that's the truth.
I also wonder about the impact of Web3 and the removal of the gatekeeper. And like that TikTok example, that is a gatekeeper that opens the gates here for this and the gates here for that because there's an agenda there, potentially, for what America should see
Right.
and how it influences society versus what China can see and how it influences society. But when Web3, if it comes to fruition like the promise of it, then you can audit that technology and you can really free yourself from the gatekeepers. And so what will that do? And I think it brings back autonomy and control to you for your digital data, your created data, how you share, and what you share and who sees it, instead of it going through some agency that learns about you and then decides what you should see next.
So we can do this with Web 2. We've always been able to audit this stuff. The problem is that it's not being audited in a way that's helpful.
Right.
It's being audited in a way that makes you the product.
Right. And how do
And you can be
what do you sell it?
targeted, and I forget the quote, it's not about transforming your behavior, it's about the small, imperceptible, discrete adjustment to your outlook that leads to gradual, significant change, where these are opportunities for manipulation. That's the problem with cookies. I have a cookie. Who cares? But the reason I don't like to accept cookies on websites is because every time a website collects a cookie about me, they're sharing it with an ad network that's building a profile so that they know exactly the word to use to make me go, ooh, gadgets. I've got a James Bond complex. I'll check out that watch. And so they're adjusting the message.
And do you
So
think
we-
psychologically you're ultimately looking at things differently than you would have if someone wasn't feeding you that
You
information?
can't stop it. This is the thing. Even if you know it's happening, I'll give you an example, right? Think of an apple. How many of you successfully avoided doing what I just told you to do? You're all thinking of an apple. There is nothing you can do
I
about
thought
it.
of an Apple laptop.
Yeah,
Great.
too.
I thought of an apple.
Right, which illustrates the limitations of this information thing, right? You thought of a laptop, lots of people were picturing an apple. And so if I now say, right, I'm going to tell you to think of a fruit and don't do it, right? Think of a banana.
I just did.
Has anyone successfully not thought of a banana? This is the problem.
Right.
Even if you know that they're doing it, it still works.
Yeah.
So I think that we need to move towards, I think what you were touching on there, this sovereign identity thing, right? You've got to have control of your data.
Right.
And you wouldn't need multiple Instagram accounts if Instagram stepped up and let you control
Yeah, it's very true.
the ways in which your data, your images, was presented to people, to
Right.
different audiences.
Absolutely.
So we are moving in that direction.
Yeah, I think that's the whole point. That's the whole point of Web3, that we're all working towards that new, I guess, ecosystem, right?
Decentralization.
Yeah, exactly, that we actually get to own. And, and I'll give you a 30-second story. I'm the quintessential creator. I'm from New York City, born and raised, but I was here in Miami, right? I want to say Bayfront Park, if you've been there, if you've been to Bayside, Bayfront Park. I grew up here in Miami, and I was the kid that wanted to be an artist, and I lived on the streets. I was literally homeless and lived on the streets for a few years.
crazy.
And the point is that imagine that YouTube University, that's what I call it, PhD
Taught you
on
everything.
YouTube, that's right. And so social media and the internet can be a powerful tool. You know, because of me having those tools in the library, I was able to do the things that I've been doing now, all these years that I've been doing it, right? So I think that social media is a wonderful thing. Now, all of us can own Web3. So that's the bottom line. Now, this next generation, the powers that be understand that we are all saying, hey, you are either going to play with us the way we want to play, or you're going to be, you know, basically X'd out, and we're going to use a different ecosystem. So I think that if we do it together and we figure out solutions together for Web3, we're going to be fine. I think that the next generation is brilliant. I have a daughter as well. She's 17, and she's literally a genius. So they grew up in a different environment. Than
Yeah, and I was going to ask that. Do you think that children are smarter because of the influencer and the social media side? I feel like mine are, because you have an encyclopedia.
The problem is the fake news aspect. You don't know you can't regulate what's good or bad, right?
But I think
All of it is
there's
there.
no way you're going to.
Correct. And
Like,
so I think that I think they are smart, because every single day they've
They're
got to deal with
exposed.
it on a
It's
different level
it's
than we do.
survival, right?
Yeah.
It's they have to figure it out, and from an evolutionary perspective, it's survival at the end of the day.
Exactly.
yeah, and the joke in our house is, well, Google showed me how to do it, and TikTok says it's okay. And I'm like, well,
Gosh.
if TikTok says it's okay, it's got to be great.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have 27 seconds left. Last thoughts. I don't know if we were supposed to do questions and answers, but this was such an engaging conversation. I appreciate you guys so much. Anything you want to say in the end of where the creator economy is going?
Yeah, I think we didn't get a chance too much to touch on it, but I think the age of generative art with AI is something that is very fascinating. I know, like, I'm an artist, my son's a composer, my sister's an artist, so there's that kind of squeamishness that we kind of all have around it when you are an artist with those technologies coming into play. I think it's going to be transformative, and I'm, you know, maybe it's because I'm, you know, not the artist that I want to be. I've been playing with those tools myself, and you know, that idea is going to be something very interesting to watch in the coming, you know, even weeks. Every day you turn around, something new is coming out. So I'll be very curious to see how, you know, how the creator economy and the creators in general respond and how it evolves.
I think that's so exciting, and we're always going to need the human element, right? I mean, because it's AI, so garbage in, garbage out at the end of the day, you know. But I think it just lets people work faster, right? And again, we're talking about like democratizing and letting anybody in the world create content like faster, cheaper, and so more people can do it, which I'm excited about.
I think it's at some point in time we talk about, I know we're over time, but we go to restaurants now and you have to order by the kiosk, et cetera. I think at some point in time, AI-generated things are going to be at a certain portion of the economy, and it actually real-life experiences. We were talking about investing in experiences as the next thing for our kids, right? The real-life artists and real-life music and end up going to be more expensive, potentially. People are not going to want to go away from those as experiences. We'll have to see. I'm just like super curious.
I think my closing thought would be just that it's going to be okay. Right, where we're heading, every day is brighter than it was yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Every day it gets
I don't know
better.
about that, but-
And I have more optimism today than I've ever had. So,
Where do you live?
London, come to London.
Yeah, well, that's part of the problem.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about the United States.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you, and if you want to build, hit me up. That's it. Let's go. I'm not playing around.
I love it. I think I'm going to bring you on board.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'd just like to share the optimism and say that I think we're on the next cusp of something great, and I think it starts with creators, and when creators are set free, the world is a better place, it's magical, and we are on the cusp of something amazing. So exciting times ahead.
Great.
To that.
All right.
All right, thank you guys.
Yeah.
I'm going to go this way. I had to hop over the speaker.